when I first started writing songs, before my songs kind of got like more noticed, I was really trying to like dumb it down, not to be dumb, but just so that it was relatable to everyone and like not get too specific. But then I found when I started actually just like writing out my feelings and making it specific to me, it almost made people relate to it more weirdly, and they saw themselves in it more because it was like such a specific thing. I don't know how that makes sense, but it's just a fact.
Welcome to Pario magazine, where I chat with individuals who have a desire to create. Today, I'm joined by a Canadian pop rock singer songwriter who has just dropped her new album, God Forbid a Girl Spits Out Her Feelings. Welcome to Pario magazine, LØLØ.
Hello, thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So, we're here today to chat about the creative journey with music and the new album. Before we dive into that, though, do you want to give our audience a little insight into who LØLØ is away from the stage and the recording studio?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's hard because I have a hard time separating myself from the stage and from the studio. But I am
That's a common
a
thing, don't
yeah.
worry.
I'm like, what is my personality besides this? But yeah, just I've been a singer songwriter for a while now, like starting seriously since 2018 from Canada. I put out my debut album in 2024 and getting ready to put out this sophomore album in April and already started putting out songs from it. So I'm really excited. And yeah, honestly, all I do is really music and my dog and yoga. So I'm like,
Does it feel like it's almost 10 years since you really knuckled down and started taking singing songwriting seriously?
that's insane. When you said that, I was like, no. But yeah, I guess it's like almost 10 years. That's crazy. It does not feel like that. I guess time flies when you're having fun. Also, it just really doesn't feel like that because, yeah. Sometimes when I see a song and I'm like, oh my God, it's the 2 year anniversary, I'm like, 2 full years? Like, that's crazy. Um,
Hmm.
it's wild.
Yeah, I have a podcast as well where we do movie and TV reviews. And recently we've been doing like 25, 30, 50-year anniversaries for movies that don't feel that old at all.
Yeah, it's so strange.
So then in terms of music, when and how did you discover the passion and then ultimately flip that into taking it seriously as a career?
Yeah, well, so I started off I was always obsessed with like musicals, and my dream used to be to be on Broadway. And I was like in tap dancing classes and acting classes and singing classes, and I really wanted to do that. But then it wasn't until um, the beginning of high school where I started learning guitar, and then my guitar teacher was like, "You should write songs." And the thing about that was, it sounded like the most embarrassing, terrible thing in the world to me because I'd always kept a diary, but I was so scared that other people, in particular, I guess like my parents, were going to read my diary that I would like write out my feelings and then rip it up into little pieces because I was like, I'm not doing this. Um, so then when my guitar teacher suggested I should write songs, I was like, my diary like to other people, like no, I won't even have my diary pages in my room, let alone like singing it to other people. I was like, I'm good, like I am not interested in that. And then I remember he said to me like, you better write in that not write in that, you better write me a song or I'm not coming back next week for the lesson. And I loved my guitar lesson so much, and I was obviously he was just like kidding and trying to have some tough
Motivate you?
yeah, motivation. But I got really scared. I was like, okay, I guess like here we go. I'll try writing a song. And I sat down, tried writing one. I ended up like writing five. I was like obsessed with it. And I remember that exact moment sitting on my bed and thinking, okay, I want to do this now.
Yeah, once that dam broke, there was no stopping you, no holding you back.
No stopping. Yeah, no stopping. And now I like overshare for a living, and I do it way more intensely than I ever could have imagined, like sharing the details of things that happen. And I think like I always laugh about how old me would listen to these songs and be like, "You're so embarrassing."
Yeah, so you speak about the diary and how that's influenced and inspired songs from God Forbid a Girl Spits Out Her Feelings.
Mhm.
Is that still a literal journal and diary that is inspiring these songs, or is it more a notes app of just ideas and themes?
It's funny because it mostly is a notes app, but I actually did start. I got a diary again, like for the first time in a while. I think in like 2022, and then I'm so bad at writing in it because like my hand gets so tired. It's so much easier to just type. But I actually brought it with me. I'm in LA right now, and I brought it with me, and I'm like, okay, I'm trying to write in it more often because I feel like it just like spurs good ideas, and it's like nice to journal. I've been calling it journaling now instead of diarying. Diarying? Don't know if that's a word, but let's just pretend it is.
Mhm. So then, what then led to inspirations for the album itself, and particularly the title?
Okay, so particularly the title. The title came about. I could not think of a title for so long for this album. I started funneling in the songs, but like I didn't know what I wanted the title to be. Whereas for my last album, I like knew the title and then I wrote the songs after. And for this, I was like kind of feeling like in a rush to like make an album at the beginning. Like I was like, oh my God, like my last album, I took 3 years. And this album, it's like, okay, you have a year and like the label's putting it out. And so it's like, it was all very like scary for a second there. And then I had something happen to my voice where I had a vocal polyp, and so like it really like limited my singing and stuff, and so it limited my recording in turn. And I was looking at my album and I was like there's so many songs about relationships. I know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna put this out and people are gonna be like, all you can write about is relationships, like blah, 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 because I've gotten that before. um, and I thought to myself, ugh, like God forbid a girl spits out her feelings, like this is just what I've been feeling. And then as soon as I had that thought, I immediately was like, wait a minute, I like that title. Took out my guitar, wrote a song called that, and then I was like, great, got a song and got the album title. So
Is that like a daunting part of the process of coming up with the album title? Because that's the thing everybody's immediately going to see.
100%. And it's like I feel like I remember last time I was like, I just when I thought of my debut album title, Falling for Robots and Wishing I Was One, I was like, yep, that's it. There's no doubt in my mind. I wasn't like humming and hawing. Whereas this year I was kind of like, oh, should it be called this? Should it be called that? I was really humming and hawing. But then as soon as I thought of God forbid a girl spits out her feelings, I was like, it just felt so like I knew immediately that that was the album title. And I think that's how it is for me. Like same with like songs or lyrics. Like I always like once it comes out, I sometimes I'm like, oh, is it right? Is it right? But then when it is right, I know.
And then, so with these being such sort of personal songs inspired by the diary and the journal, is that confronting or perhaps a little nerve wracking in creating and releasing songs from such a personal space?
Creating, definitely not, because I'm never think. Everyone always asks me that, and I'm like, I'm never thinking about like the repercussions of the song while I'm writing it. I'm kind of just like actually using it as therapy, and then it's not until after like the night, and not even like it's just like the night before the song's coming out, where I start thinking,
Mhm.
hmm, people might be
Was this a
upset
little
about
too
it. Yeah, I was
personal?
like, fuck, what am I gonna do? And then but I just deal with it, and I'm like, like it's just I have a line in my song in the title track where it's like, don't be offended. It's just poetry. So I'm always like, it could be taken as whatever. Like it's not necessarily about you, even though it is, but
Have you ever had like anybody that the songs are about reach out? Is this song about me?
Yes, and I've also had people reach out when it's not about them, thinking it is. Like one ex thought I wrote the song about him, but it was about a different ex, or things like that. Like I remember I had an ex's sister being like, "Oh, I love the song about blank," and I was thinking in my head, "It is not about him," but I'm just gonna not burst her bubble and say anything. But yeah, I have had people reach out to me 100%, and sometimes there's been some misunderstandings, but I guess that's just life of a showgirl.
And that that shows the artistic merit to the songs. If multiple people are thinking maybe this song's about me, it's not too centered on one person.
Yeah, no, 100%. Which is good. Like, I don't want it to be too crazy, I guess. Even though I find that, like, when I first started writing songs, before my songs kind of got, like, more noticed. I was really trying to like dumb it down, not to be dumb, but just so that it was relatable to everyone and like not get too specific. But then I found when I started actually just like writing out my feelings and making it specific to me, it almost made people relate to it more weirdly, and they saw themselves in it more because it was like such a specific thing. I don't know how that makes sense, but it's just a fact I've noticed.
Maybe just because it's like more authentic to you and that people
Yeah.
can sense that in the songs.
Yeah, I think so.
Listening to the album, I noticed some sort of pop culture references in there as well, namely The Punisher, 007, and then
And
the
I
song
was,
The Devil Wears
yeah,
Converse.
okay, yeah, I was like, he got it
How
all.
big a part of your life are films and TV for inspiration as well?
I really love getting inspiration from films and TV. Not necessarily like I copy the story of it, but it's like I like I like words
How it
and
makes you feel?
titles and yeah, well yeah, how it makes me feel, but it's mostly honestly like the I don't want to say the phonetics of it, but like yeah, the words that they say or like like someone will say a line and I'll be like, "Oh my god, like that was so awesome and poetic. Like that needs to be a song." So it ways like that. But yeah, sometimes it also inspires me. It's like, "Oh, this happened to this character." And I'm like, "Oh, that happened to me. Oh, I could kind of like write it from this angle." Oh, 007. That was the other one that we missed. Yeah, so I have four movie titles. Wait, 007, Punisher. Did we say that? Devil Wears.
Yep.
Oh yeah, we did
Devil
say
Wears
that.
Converse.
Yeah, we said all of them.
So there's no other hidden pop culture references throughout the album.
um, think I really like to do like pop culture references and like from movies and stuff in my music videos. But
Okay.
yeah, I think that is all of them. Yeah, that's all. Oh, yeah, that's all of them. That's all of them.
Are you looking to do like a big grand 007 type film clip for that song as well?
Yeah, well, yeah, we recorded a video for that one, and it's very. At first we were like, it could go two ways. It could be like very sexy, like James Bond, 007, and that's kind of like the first thought that people were kind of pitching to me, and but I was just like, but what if it was like Austin Powers 007, like like making fun of it,
Mhm.
and that's what we ended up going with, and I feel like that suits my personality more because I'm just so bad at being serious.
The single "Me with No Shirt On" is also potentially one of the most relatable songs, particularly for young women who might hear it. How has the response been to that song?
The response has been good. I was honestly really scared to release that song because it's a lot different than my other stuff. Like at first, like at first listen, you're kind of like, whoa, like this sounds like a lot more pop and softer and cleaner than a lot of my older stuff. But it's a side that I've wanted to explore for a really long time because I feel like my major influences growing up were like Green Day and Weezer and Smashing Pumpkins and but also like Ashley Simpson and Michelle Branch and Alanis Morissette. But I've really been tapping into like the first ones I was talking about.
Mhm.
And then, so I've been wanting to tap into the more like girly pop rock or like, more emotional and stripped back and vulnerable for a while now. So I was really excited to put that one out.
Did that come from a particular experience in terms of inspiration as well?
Yes, unfortunately, it did. I definitely over dramatized that experience, but it did come from a true story experience, and hopefully, no girls listening to it take it as inspo to send anything like that. And take it as inspo to not do that.
Yep. And then, yeah, since we're speaking for Pario's annual All Women's edition for International Women's Month, what is the big piece of advice that you have for young women listening to your music?
Damn. I mean, I think that it's hard for girls out there. It always has been. I mean, it's hard for anyone. I definitely think, but especially being a young girl, I think like in the way that social media is now and comparing yourself. Like I know I'm always doing that, even though I'm always preaching like don't compare yourself to others. But it's so much easier said than done. But of course, I would just I would say my advice would be to like to be less chronically online because I think it's such a toxic environment sometimes, even though like it's so great for like discovering music and like making connections and stuff like that. But I think it's also have to remember that like everyone's just kind of putting stuff out there that is like their best self. Like, I try to always bring some realness with my music, obviously, because I'm never okay in my music. I'm always like, ever the world is ending and I'm so sad. And he dumped me. But yeah, I think it's just like important to know that normally people are just putting out their best selves on social media and all that stuff and online. And so just not to compare yourself.
Yep. Yeah, you've got that problem of social media comparison, and then like the sexualization of everything as well, which is
Hmm.
kind of what that song taps into.
Yeah, for sure.
And then do you also have advice for anybody who might be inspired by your story or your music to then pursue their own creative passion?
It's so funny because my answer for this is going to be like, be chronically online, but actually, like, it
Do the
would
total opposite of what I just
do
said.
the but it's so hard because I think that these days you kind of need to put yourself out there so much if you want to be seen. And like it used to be like going to open mics or doing this or doing that, but now everything's kind of online. So you kind of have to like post a million TikToks and Instagram reels and YouTube shorts and get yourself out there as much as you can and try to meet people. And but the main thing, aside from social media, because that's kind of like once you have the music, but I would say the main thing is like creating music that you love and not what you think other people are going to love. Cause I've been there and it took me kind of a long time to realize that. Um, but I feel like once you start making the music that you love, as long as you love it, you're going to find other people out there that love it too. But you need to like stand behind it and be so 100% obsessed with it. And if you're not, how do you expect anybody else to be?
Yep, perfect. So then over the years, you've also collaborated with some incredible artists like Simple Plan, Taylor Acorn, and a previous guest of mine, Maggie Lindemann. How special were those experiences, particularly sort of collaborating with other female artists in this pop rock space?
Yeah, awesome. I always think collaborations are so awesome. And especially when it's like two rock women, I'm always like, this is so cool. So for me to take part in that was really cool. Specifically with Maggie, I remember I just like asked her to be in the music video for it for Debbie Downer, and then she ended up like she didn't answer me. I guess it's because she was listened to the song and was like, oh my god, I want to be on it, and sent it to her manager. So at first I was like, oh my god, she hates me, like oh my. But then the next day I got a message from her and the manager being like, we want to be on the song actually. Like, would you do a collab? And yeah, it ended up being like one of the most fun collabs ever. And I just think it's such a fun song. And then with Taylor Acorn, she is like literally one of my best friends. So it was but she wasn't at first. When she asked me to be on the song, we were just kind of like Instagram friends. We had met once at like a festival where we were both singing with Simple Plan, funny enough. Um, but the song really brought us so close together, and now we're best friends. So I'm so thankful for a nervous system.
Awesome. And if you could collaborate with any other artists in the future, is there like the bucket list goal?
Green Day is like my number one bucket list goal. Yeah, that is like, well, yeah. Growing up, I was obsessed with Green Day and Hillary Duff and Avril Lavigne, but mainly Hillary Duff and Green Day. So if I could get either of those two collabs, that would be the best. Probably Green Day would be my number one, but it's hard to compare apples and oranges. But yeah.
Yep. Brilliant. And then if we look ahead through the remainder of the year, you've got some dates lined up throughout Europe and North America. Is there any chance of maybe a trip down under at some point as well?
Okay, so I have been dying to come to Australia. I almost was an opener for a band last year, but it was going to be like so tight after my last Europe tour that it was just going to be crazy and so expensive. Touring is so expensive. That's an issue.
Mhm.
But we are planning as we speak in Australia a little stint. So for everyone that I've been promising, I'm coming to Australia. I actually am trying to come to Australia. And I don't want to say I am coming until everything is confirmed, but just know it's being planned.
Awesome. So, where is the best place for people to support you, keep up to date with updates, and track your creative journey moving forward?
Yeah, so my Instagram is at Lolo, LOLO, And my Twitter and TikTok is at Lolo Pop Girl, which is LOLOPOPGURL. And then, of course, on Spotify or Apple Music or Amazon or anywhere you listen to, I'm just Lolo with those slashes in my O's.
Brilliant. Was that hard to get Lolo on Instagram?
So so random. My old manager bought the username from the dark web as a gift. Like, what a sentence. It wasn't that expensive though. Like, it wasn't like someone offered me, I think, like $200,000 for the username, and I was like, fuck. But then I was like, but it's my,
Maybe.
yes, some like model or something. I forgot who it was. Offered me an insane amount for the username, but I said no. But maybe one day
That's
when I'm done with music and I don't need Lolo anymore, I'll sell it to someone.
yeah, that's a commitment. I think if somebody offered me that much for mine, I'd be like, okay, I can
Oh yeah,
rebrand.
okay, I'll just quit music. Yeah, and live off this. Yeah, if it was 2 million, I would have done it.
Oh, there's a note for anyone if they want the username
Yeah,
at Lolo. There's your fee.
$2 million. Thank you.
Awesome. Alrighty, thank you so much for taking the time and good luck with everything. And we'll hopefully see you down here at some point in the near
Thank you.
future.
Yes, please. I really hope so. Hopefully this year.